Hi Internet! We're extending our Kill Team 101 series today with the Arena format.
This was a supplemental competitive format added to the game before the Elites expansion, which not only adds new rules to the game, but also a new mission structure which set off a big change in the competitive scene surrounding Kill Team.
In this video, we'll explain the changes in setup, mission structure, and all the additional rules added to the game specifically when playing the Arena format.
Arena is more fast-paced and standardized than the open format, which most games are played on, and it's quite fun, so let's dive right in.
Before we go into the additions to the game with Arena, it's important to highlight how the mission structure is different from the other sourcebooks. In Arena, and adopted into all big competitive formats, is the addition of secondary objectives to the primary objectives you are used to. Your total victory points are the sum of your primary and secondary objectives.
For Arena, the mission will designate what secondary objectives you can choose from. Some missions have a unique bespoke objective which you can choose from as well. Each player chooses 3 secondary objectives when they are mustering, and keeps these hidden from their opponent until they start scoring points from them.
Now to the additions to the game itself. The board setup is the largest change to the format when playing Arena, often described as 2D terrain. The kit is out of production at the moment, but it's not too hard to track down if you really want it, and third-party equivalents are rampant.
The walls on the board are outlined with solid red lines. These indicate infinitely high walls, meaning you cannot move through or over them. This comes into play in many scenarios later on, so keep this fact in the back of your head.
In addition, the terrain features placed on the board are in precise locations prescribed by the mission you are playing. The set includes barrels, crates, and most importantly doors, which help you really define the Arena experience.
The second largest change in the game when playing Arena is how you measure. Anyone with a few games of experience knows that your measuring tape typically doesn't leave your hand for most of the time in playing Kill Team, so measuring is obviously a key part of the game.
In Arena, you cannot measure through walls. These are the solid red lines we referred to earlier. Furthermore, when doors are closed, they act as walls. Anytime you are measuring an aura, movement, or distance between models, you do not measure through the wall, with one exception, measuring to a point on the board, like the objective markers or the secondary objective domination. These exceptions are not explicitly in the book, but have been clarified in recent tournament FAQs and are how we recommend you play.
The third most important are the changes, which are honestly a simplification, to how visibility and obscurity rules work. Again, the infinitely high walls are integral to this.
For visibility, all rules from the core manual still apply, but there is one additional caveat. A final check for visibility must take into consideration these infinitely high walls. You must be able to draw a line 1 millimeter thick that can connect your base to your target's base.
This final step overrides any other criteria for visibility, so we typically recommend starting off by checking this, and then afterwards verifying visibility per criteria of the core manual if necessary.
For obscurity, once again all the rules from the core manual still apply, but we also have to account for the invisible walls. There is a fantastic illustration on page 7 of the Arena manual that shows this.
If you can draw a line from a single point on your model's base that can touch all parts of your target's base, then they are not obscured by the wall. If there is an intervening model or terrain feature that's providing obscurity, that still holds true.
Both of these wall checks can be a bit slow to verify, as holding a tape measure to visualize the line is not always accurate. There are straight line laser pointers out there, such as the one we use by Army Painter called Target Lock, which speeds up this process infinitely. We'll demonstrate it right now.
Using the laser pointer here, it's easy to see that the wall does not block line of sight between these two models. However, in this example, you can see that it clearly does.
And in this scenario, you can see that the laser pointer clearly demonstrates that the orc on the top right has 0 obscurity from the wall, while the orc on the bottom is obscured by the wall.
Another added bonus is that this laser pointer can be used for other tabletop games, such as an X-Wing, for determining if your target is within your targeting arc. Incidentally, I think that's what this laser pointer was originally designed for.
Next up, we have doors. These are a dynamic terrain feature which most models can interact with to open and close. The models that are eligible to close and open doors must have either the infantry or battlesuit keyword, which was updated by the errata entry for Arena.
Each mission will explicitly tell you where to set up the terrain, including the doors. In order to open a door, an eligible model must start its movement or end a normal move within 1 inch of the door's doorway. Once they open the door, their movement is done. You can close doors in the same way.
A model cannot attempt to close or open a door if they are within 1 inch of an enemy model. In addition, a model cannot make any other move types and still open the door, including the ready movement. In the example where a model does not move and decides to open the door, even though it was not physically moved, it is ineligible to be marked as having ready.
If there are any of the opposing player's models within 1 inch of the door, they can attempt to stop your team's model from opening or closing said door. The opposing player rolls 1d6, and on a 5 up, they block your attempt to open or close the door. No matter how many enemy models are trying to block this interaction, the opposing player can only make one attempt to block you.
You can attempt to close a door onto a model or models. If any part of a model's base is within the doorway and closing the door is not resisted, the model's controlling player rolls a d6, and on a 1, that model suffers 1 mortal wound. The controlling player rolls the injury roll if this mortal wound takes the model down to 0 wounds. However, whether or not this results in the model being taken out of action, the door does not physically close. The doorway remains open, even if the squished model is taken out of action by the mortal wound.
Finally, you cannot measure through a door while it's closed. This can lead to some interesting interactions that we cover in another video.
The last addition that the Arena format brings to Kill Team is the point-blank Overwatch tactic. This is a universal tactic, meaning it is available to all factions, just like Tactical Reroll and Gridded Teeth.
This is a very wordy tactic, and there are ways to bait and manipulate this tactic, which we review in our Cogboy Cogitations video for Arena. For now, we'll focus on mechanically how this tactic works.
In essence, this lets you have the opportunity to fire Overwatch on a model charging you from out of line of sight. Interestingly enough, the Gene Stealer Cults faction has a tactic that lets them do this already, so they get to do this potentially twice in Arena, as they are separate tactics. Watch out for those tricky cultists.
The best way to understand this tactic is to follow a sequence of events. This is the tactic in all of its wall of text glory, and you can pause the video and read it if you like, but it's a lot easier if you think of the tactic as a 5-step process.
First, your opponent declares a charge and pauses for you to react.
Second, you spend 1 CP and use the tactic Point Blank Overwatch, choosing one model that was declared target of the charge.
Third, your opponent rolls their charge attempt.
Fourth, if they are successful, you choose at which point along their path you will fire your Overwatch. At this point, follow all the Overwatch rules as described in the core manual.
Fifth, if they are unsuccessful, or have selected multiple models and choose a path that never comes into line of sight of your chosen Overwatch model, then you cannot fire Overwatch. You already spent 1 CP and used the tactic. You do not get a refund, and you cannot use the tactic again this phase.
There are plenty of nuances to this tactic that benefit both the charging model as well as the defending model.
One final point that's worth saying is that there are no reserves in Arena. This format can be played alongside the Elites expansion, but reserves and reserve tactics are not legal in the format. Advanced deployment rules, such as for Space Marine infiltrators, are legal in Arena format.
And that just about covers it for Arena. It's a fantastic format, easier to set up and play, needs less terrain, and adds an entire new layer of tactical considerations to this great game.
We have a video up with Advanced Tactica for Arena on our Cogboy Cogitation series, so take a look at that. We'll go into a lot of the shenanigans you can pull with the special rules that Arena introduces.
See you over there.